This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 33, To Tatooine and Beyond.
Superman.
Hello and welcome to the Cult Faction Podcast, episode number 33, To Tatooine and Beyond. My name is Brett Summers, and joining me this evening are
Paul Hawkins
and Damien Hicks.
And we are here. We have survived Halloween, and we are back in business of giving you the latest in whatever's going down in the crazy world of cult film and TV. So just to start with, we always sort of check in and see what we've been up to this week. I'm going to start this week with Paul. What's been going down, Paul?
So I was just looking on my phone at the new Batcave playset.
Well, what's that from? That's some sort as well. That's what I'm talking about. Is it Lego or?
No. It's a Batcave playset, and it looks cool. It's over 84 centimeters and transformed into an epic Batcave. It's literally Batman that turns into a Batcave. It's a good job that one of mine didn't see that for Christmas list. No, so it's like I thought 84 centimeter.
To see it.
It's like an 84 centimeter figure of Batman, but then his like legs open. Okay, so so then he can
carry on.
Open it up, and it turns into a Batcave.
Excellent.
So yeah, I was slightly distracted about that.
You're on the toy hunt. That's right. You're on the toy hunt. Well, have you been watching anything as well, or just on the toy hunt?
So it's been a bit of an odd one this week, because obviously it's been Halloween. We've been out and celebrating the month that kept on giving with a Halloween bash on Saturday night. So we didn't do our normal Saturday night films and all that kind of good stuff. We were actually with real people, and we've been doing lots of random TV episodes as well, which aren't worth a mention. And obviously some kids Halloween films that which again I don't think we really need to talk about tonight. So I'm going to focus primarily on two films. Yes, that's right, just two films. So I might be quite quick this week, as opposed to going on and like I normally do. So I think the first one I want to talk about is a film called The Owners. Again, both of these I think are 2021 films. They're quite new. So The Owners stars Maisie Williams and some of Cult Faction's favourite Doctor Who, Sylvester McCoy.
Yes.
I know the one you mean. I've seen this.
Yeah. So it's basically about a group of, well, I don't even want to say friends. They're acquaintances, teenagers that basically think that they found a perfect score, a perfect house to burgle, and that they think it's an empty house with a safe full of cash. So basically, they know the owners. He's an elderly doctor. They think it's loaded because of I think one of the guy's mums does some cleaning there or something like that. So they have a dastardly plan to break in, somehow get into the safe. I don't know how they thought they were going to do that, but because they're not the sharpest tools in the box. But that's their great plan, and they're going to obviously walk away with a lot of cash. And Maisie Williams is the girlfriend of one of the lads, basically. So obviously they've broken into the house, but things aren't as they seem. And lo and behold, they find themselves in a situation where they have basically got the doctor and his strange wife. We're not quite sure whether she's got dementia or something going on with her, but she's clearly not all right. And they basically hold her prisoners and try and get the combination to the safe out of them. It doesn't all go to plan. there's well, I won't give too much away on this, but let's just say it doesn't go to plan for the couple or the people breaking into this house. So without trying to give the storyline away, I really thought when it kicked off, it was going to be more of a scary house type situation. They were going to break in and get, there was going to be like a poltergeist or a possession thing going on. And unfortunately, it's not that. It's not necessarily too bad of a film, because I absolutely went in this expecting a British horror film, and a kind of a lowish budget British horror film, even though they managed to get two sterling actors like Maisie Williams and Sylvester McCoy, but I wasn't expecting the world, and I didn't get it. But it also wasn't too terrible. I kind of set my mindset was, this is something like more of a Tales of the Unexpected with a bit more gore and brought up to date. And if you kind of go into watching that film with that mindset, then I think you'd appreciate it more from the get-go.
I was just, as you just talking now, I was looking through my review of it on cultfaction.com, and I'll just read you my my summary line for it. And
I didn't even realise you did one.
Yeah, I'd forgotten I had, to be honest. But it was only when you said, I mean, this was from when it came out back in like last year or whenever it was. But I got 7 out of 10. Strong performances from all involved are slightly let down by a script that needed just one more unseen twist or turn to push it over the edge into a higher stratosphere.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair shout, because if they'd have played a bit more on supernatural elements or something like that, as opposed to what actually turned out, it would have just taken it up a notch. But I'd say most of the performances were all right-ish. There was some quite bad, and I'm not saying acting as such, but the script or directed let some of those acting performances or made them go in a certain way that it felt more like something that kids would put on, making their own film, as opposed to a proper produced film. But it wasn't bad by any means. I mean, I've seen worse when it comes to British horror films and indeed global horror films. But again, if you go in there thinking more Tales of the Unexpected, then I think you'd come out, I was going to say pleasantly surprised. That's the wrong word. You're not going to hate it.
No, I definitely agree with that.
I wouldn't go back to watch the sequel. Let's put it that way.
That's fair enough. Yeah, you've just brought that memory back to me now. I'd forgotten all about that film, so maybe that tells you something. But what else have you been watching, Paul?
Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about, unless I think of something else, in which point I'll interrupt one of you two when you're talking about it, like you normally do, Brett.
That's fair enough.
Obviously, you were going to be out. See, you can't help yourself, can you? You can't.
No, I was defending myself. That's an established thing that happens now. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So knew we were going to be out on Saturday night. So Friday night we decided to see what movies we could potentially buy as opposed to going out. Obviously. And with a little bit of reservation, decided to purchase Old, M. Night Shyamalan. You two aware of this one? I thought
I know
we
it.
looked at the trailer.
Yeah, I think we've seen the film. I haven't watched it, but I'm aware of it.
So Old is again M. Night Shyamalan. Stars Gail Garcia Bernal, Vicky Krieps, apologies for the name, and Rufus Sewell. And the storyline goes: there's a family that are on holiday, a lovely island resort. There's obviously some issues going on between the mum and the dad, so they come away to kind of like have one last nice time with the kids before they basically break some bad news to them. And obviously it's one of those things. It's almost like a scene from I forgot the name, Death in Paradise, where obviously you've got the other characters in the resort, so they have to have a little bit of backstory and blah blah blah. If you've seen the trailer, you kind of know what's happening, so all of this is just building up, as I said, a bit more of that character plot. But lo and behold, each one of the couples or the family, they're invited by the hotel concierge or owner to go to a secluded beach. Apparently it's like the best on the island. He only recommends it to the creme de la creme, and lo and behold, they all find themselves on this beach, and there's already something strange going on. I'm not going to go to too much detail about everything, but there's already something strange going on when they get there. There's a famous guy who's just staring out at the waters, and then little things start happening, and then lo and behold, they recognize the fact that the kids are starting to get bigger and older, and it turns out that something like every half hour or every hour on the beach represents something like 7 years of life, or a few years of life anyway. So the longer they stay on that beach, the older they're all going to get. And unfortunately for one of the grandmas in the party, her time on the beach doesn't last long.
And that brings you pleasure.
So as I said, they're stuck on the beach. They then try and get off, and find out that there's no escape. So what do? How do they get off? Well, again, or do they get off? I'm not going to give any of that away. This is, I think all of M. Night Shyamalan's films are a tough one for him. And they're always going to be. There's always an expectation. Is it going to be, as good as? Yeah, but is it going to be as good as Sixth Sense or Unbreakable, which I really, really loved, and that's what he's best known for. And ever since then, with one film which I think kind of broke the tradition of the last 10 years, which was maybe Split.
Split was good. I like Split.
Yeah, I think most of the other films he's written and directed haven't been on par with those.
Not lived up to expectation.
Yeah, but I think it's got to the point now where you go in with low expectations, as opposed to the other way around.
Maybe that's all part of his gimmick, and at some point he's going to hit us with well, mind you, we thought he turned the corner with Split, and then he made Glass, so it was like Split was amazing, but that just set up Glass, which wasn't.
I think you almost want him to do a film that doesn't have a twist at the end, like no twist whatsoever, and that's the twist. Just maybe he needs to break out.
Yeah, you're right actually, because even David Lynch did A Straight Story, which is about a bloke who went to see his dying brother, and he didn't have a car, and he just drove on a lawnmower. It was based on a true story.
Yeah,
and he drove straight across America on a lawnmower, and straight story, because David Lynch never does a straight story and all that. So everyone's tried it. Maybe he should. I think you're right, Paul.
I just think it would give him a bit of a different perspective, and also bring out, and because let's face it, he is a good director when he's got the material, or
But it's his material though.
Yeah, I know, but that's the tough one, isn't it? Because Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, really good film. Split, really good film. This was okay. It's worth a watch, and I'm not going to say otherwise, but it's not fantastic. And lo and behold, there is a twist at the end.
I'm shocked.
But yeah, give it a watch. I potentially wouldn't buy it or pay for it, so maybe wait until it's out on free to watch on one of the streaming services, or cable services, or Sky services, or TV services, whatever. So yeah, unless anyone's got any more questions about any of those, that's me done.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Paul. Spinning the spotlight across to Mr. Damon Hicks then. What's been happening for yourself, sir?
Not a lot. If you remember, last week we recorded for approximately 3 hours and 45 minutes. So I've spent the entire week editing that nonsense. So the irony isn't lost on me that we're doing a podcast about TV shows, and because of editing said podcast, I now no longer get to watch TV shows. So I have watched nothing.
I don't know if it's true or not, but is it true that the actual podcast took 10 minutes to edit and you spent the rest of the time on TikTok?
If only that were true.
your current new addiction.
Got to get the content out there.
That's fair enough. It's fair enough. So you've not watched anything at all?
No, nothing that's podcast worthy anyway. I've watched or started to watch The Long Call on ITV, which we recorded last week because I was out here doing all the editing last week. Started to watch that the other night. It's nothing special. It's a bog standard detective murder thingy jobby. Nothing to write home about. Not worth talking about. I've probably spent 30 seconds more talking about it than I intended to in the first place. So I'm not going to carry on and shut up. And that is it.
Oh, fair enough then. Full of
So
excitement.
you're like the most avid listener of the podcast, Damien. Well done.
Yeah, I get to listen to it about 3 times in a row. It's wonderful.
Some people would see that as a dream come true. Not sure
But-
who. We
yeah,
haven't found it yet. but-
No, some might. I've got some good news for anyone who's playing Cult Faction Podcast Bingo. If you've got Lo and Behold on your card, you've probably already got a full house.
So I've noticed I say, as I said, a lot.
Yeah, Lo and Behold.
I feel
You've
like I
stopped
almost,
groundbreaking, which is cool.
yeah, but I seem to have replaced it with, as I said.
Yeah.
So maybe we needed like a virtual swear jar or something like that.
No, I think we just start making bingo cards for people to play along with.
Screw that. Let's get it on T-shirts. Buy our stuff. Buy our stuff.
Got to make the stuff first.
As I said, listen to the Cult Faction podcast.
I suppose.
Okay.
If you make
then.
it, lo and behold, people will buy it.
Yeah, hopefully. Still a lot of Rolf Harris T-shirts in a warehouse somewhere. But that's
Sorry,
a
you've
different
still got a
story.
lot of Rolf Harris t-shirts.
No, not me personally. I said there
Oh.
are still.
It's like, what are you doing with those?
But they were going really cheap. But tell you what wasn't going cheap. My TV hours this week. Oh.
Oh yeah, he's been on half-term shenanigans, so you must have been able to watch everything.
I've been watching quite a few. I'm now up to the final season of The Sopranos in my bid to rewatch the entire series and actually finish it, because I never ever finished the last season before, even though I've owned it for over 20 years on DVD. I never watched the second half of the last season because then The Sopranos would have been over.
And
that would have been
remind
it.
people why you're struggling to get through it and what the reason for that is, because you want to watch.
The Many Saints of Newark, and I need to see the new series first before I see the new film.
So I forgot I mentioned that I watched this last night. It is brilliant, and it ends by. Doesn't really.
Don't you dare. I've been on a struggle for 6 months to catch up on this. And
see anyone that wants to ruin Brett's watching of that, do tweet in.
Yeah, join the Facebook group and then just type the ending in. He
Yeah.
won't realise he's reading it until he's read it.
that is true. So I'm a bit like Ron Burgundy. But yeah, I've watched that. I've also seen episode 2 and 3 of Chucky, the Sci-Fi Channel's latest offering from the Don Mancini's Child's Play world, and it gets better and better. Do stick with it. You long-term fans, I think, will be really rewarded because you're now getting to see Charles Lee Ray as a child in sort of flashbacks as well. So you get some sort of explanation into maybe how the man became the serial killing voodoo practitioner, that he is, who ends up in a doll. If you've never seen any Child's Play, you'll wonder what the hell that was all on about, what I just said. But yeah, really good though. It's got a sense of humour, but it is also actually serious. It's got the more serious tone back, but also does keep some of the humour. Whereas I think the last, maybe the Bride of Chucky and all that kind of went more a bit slapstick horror than it did serious. Where it's kind of, but
yeah,
it's
which
all
goes
still
back
that.
to what we were saying about
Yeah.
our comedy episode, wasn't it? If it starts
Yeah.
becoming comedy first, then it's no longer worth
Yeah, but
watching.
this has got the horror back now, but just with some nice wisecracks and Chuckyisms and
Chuckyisms.
how he views the world, his modern day philosophy. And but yeah, definitely worth a watch. Don't let kids watch it because you might think it's cute and fluffy. And I've seen lots of pictures of people dressing their kid up as Chucky on Instagram and that for Halloween, and that's great. But you know, he is kind of yeah. He is a serial killing voodoo practicing doll. So, you know.
To be fair though, that is what Halloween's about. No one dresses their kid up as something nice, do they?
Apparently they do in the States. Anyone listening in the States, feel free to correct me on this. but I was watching. I think it was on TikTok actually. But there was
I'm shocked.
one of those. It was, I don't know what it was called. Someone who now lives in the UK but is actually from the States. And
Expat.
yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Saying, I can't believe that people dress their kids up as horror characters in the UK. Back in the States, it's just an excuse to dress up, and they dress up as Disney princesses or ET or stuff like that, stuff from kids' films.
Well,
Yet
they
you
do
guys dress your kids up in horror costumes. Why is that?
They do have a lot of guns out in the States, though, don't they? So maybe dressing up as knife-wielding maniacs wouldn't be the best thing to do when you're running around the streets of LA. Who knows?
That
Who knows?
bizarrely is touched upon in episode 3 of Chucky. That's all I'll
Is it
say.
really? Oh, look
Yeah.
at that.
Because
It's
it's
almost like we
Halloween.
planned this stuff.
No, because it's Halloween and Chucky suddenly realizes he can go out and walks around with a Hello Kitty mask on.
Oh, I think I've seen a clip of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. It's cross promotional, and I'm guessing they got a few quid for getting the Hello Kitty in. So
Yeah.
you know, everyone's a winner. But yeah, I've been watching that, and that's been my main thing really. My main slog at the moment really is to get to the Many Saints of Newark. So it's been pretty much Sopranos. There's been a few like Robot Chickens and a bit of Simpsons in between. 'Cause we've had a few new Simpsons Halloween specials pop up on the TV that I hadn't seen before, but nothing to really write home about and go, oh my God, you need to see this. It was on, I've watched it, I can't remember now. You know, it did
The
its job at
moment's
the
passed.
time. Yeah, it did it entertained me for 20 minutes or so, and then I moved on to something else. But yeah, so it's been busy, but it's been pretty much in New Jersey watching The Sopranos this time. I haven't been back to Jump Street for ages either. So but yeah, that's been pretty much what I've been watching. So with that in mind, it's now time to head to
News desk.
the news.
News items.
Right, welcome to the news desk.
News desk.
News desk.
Okay, welcome to the news desk, where we're going to cast our eye over all the exciting developments in the world of cult film and TV. Right, Damien, what have we got first?
First up in the news, we've got What We Do in the Shadows. Season 3 gets a November UK premiere date on BBC Two.
The critically acclaimed vampire comedy What We Do in the Shadows returns to the UK this November on BBC Two, and the UK broadcaster has announced that after the shocking season 2 finale, we find the housemates in a panic about what to do after discovering that their familiar is actually a vampire killer. Season 3 will premiere on Tuesday, the 2nd November at 10:05 on BBC Two and will be available on iPlayer. And what I hope is what they did with season 2 is they put the whole season on iPlayer straight away. So hopefully they might do that as well.
So this is something that I forgot to mention about stuff that I've been watching this week.
Okay.
And so yeah, I just wanted to say that I watched What We Do in the Shadows.
Was that the film?
Yeah, but this was the film from 2014.
Yeah, that's cool. It's good.
So my question, because I haven't watched any of the series. Now, obviously, this is a UK series. So what came first? The one with Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi, or is it a film based on the series, or what?
It's the people in the film. Some of the people in the film do appear in the series at different times, but the four main people in the series, it's all made by the same people, and they exist in the same universe. And as I say, there are crossovers. Jermaine Clement and
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, Taika Waititi do appear in one of the episodes.
Okay, because they actually wrote the film as well.
Yeah, that's all. It's pretty much the same. It's almost just like you're watching a different vampire house, and there are references, and they do meet up, and they do appear in one of the episodes. They sort of have a little crossover. And
that's cool because I like the film. It's kind of understated funniness. I think it's not a laugh out loud thing, but it's clever comedy, which I quite like.
Yeah, I think you'll like the series as well, because with the series they have the chance to sort of plant more seeds as it goes along. Like obviously well, we sort of said what happened at the end of season 2, but
That's right, I'll forget by
you'll
then.
find, yeah. But yeah, no, it does play well, and there are some really cool cameos during the TV series as well, including Mr. Skywalker himself appears at one point, which is pretty cool. What else have we got, Damien?
Tiger King 2 premieres this November on Netflix, and alongside that, it's been announced that Carol Baskin is to sue Netflix over Tiger King season 2.
That bitch
So it's
Carol
all fun and
Baskin.
games over there.
That bitch Carol Baskin. Quoting. Yeah, the colourful saga of America's most notorious big cat owners continues. Suddenly, fame and unwanted attention for the authorities turns up the heat and unearths some stunning revelation. But with Joe Exotic behind bars and Carol Baskin closing in on the ownership of the disreputable zoo, the Emmy-nominated saga continues its twisted course in Tiger King 2. But as you said, Baskin as well, though, is suing Netflix over the series, and she is claiming that the series made their business look like an ethical and moral equivalent of Joe Exotic's Roadside Zoo, which they found especially bothersome because of their personal history. Furthermore, the couple argues that the first season of Tiger King portrayed Carol Baskin as a murderer who disposed of her late husband's remains by feeding them to her big cats. Season 2 premieres Wednesday, 17th of November on Netflix UK and worldwide. I did love the first season of Tiger
See,
King.
the whole thing
Really?
passed me by, so I
I was going to
again
say
can't
exactly the
comment.
same thing.
I haven't seen
It-
it.
I know, you just need to watch
I
it.
just
It
put
is-
off by the memes and the clips and
Yeah.
just the whole furore over it. I can't be
Uh,
bothered to watch it now.
I know, I was the same, and then I just got pulled down this scary redneck rabbit hole because I thought, well, I'll just watch one just so I got an idea what it is. And then you're like, well, that can't be, that can't happen. And then you watch the next one, and then the next thing you know, you've watched the whole series because each episode just trumps what came before it, and it's just
I
like
just
a
don't think
whole.
I'm interested.
I didn't think
No,
I
me
was.
neither.
Care.
I didn't think I was, but then suddenly I was, and like, yeah, it's just really weird. It's just it's just something. If you like 2 years ago, whenever the first one came out, if you said write something about this, no one could have written this to be any weirder and more messed up than it ever is. You know, this is just like you couldn't, even if you made it up as you went along. I mean, even like you talk about the X-Files in the last Things That Make You Go Ooh episode with that, like the mum on the skateboard and how weird that was. I
Yeah.
think this is even weirder in its own way. It just, because it's real and it happens and it's done as a documentary, and you're just like, how can, yeah, honestly, I would say my challenge would be both go and watch the first episode and then just see if you like, kind of like, well, I was like, well, that was all right, but I kind of need to see what happens next just to do. I'll just watch the next one, and then suddenly that's it. You're sucked in. It's got you.
Okay.
Maybe.
If we can get this recording down to less than 2 hours, then I might accept that challenge.
Okay, and that's the end of the news. No, but it is, yeah, it is one of those, and I think that's why I think it got so popular, because people were like, "What's this crap?" And then they put it on, and then suddenly it was like a week later, and they'd all been watching it. It's just Jerry Springer redneck greatness in just twists and turns that you just didn't think would ever be a twist or turn. Yeah, and it's real life. But watch it. But Tiger King 2, 17th of November. Set it on your timers. What else we got, Damien?
We've got Rob Liefeld. That's how you pronounce his name. Yep, Rob Liefeld's Prophet is returning for 30th anniversary. None of that makes any sense to me.
At the moment, I'm just kind of shuddering at the 30th anniversary bit of that, let alone the rest of it. Yeah, John Prophet is coming back to celebrate his 30th birthday. The comic book hero, who is set to be played by Jake Gyllenhaal in the upcoming movie, is returning to print with a special edition of Prophet #1, which will reprint the hero's first solo comic adventure. Creator Rob Liefeld has also enlisted dozens of artists to help recreate Prophet #1 as a remastered comic. So yeah, Rob Liefeld. I'm guessing there won't be many feet drawn in this because we all know the stories on that one, and it looks like this is just going to be sort of a
Hang on,
license.
if it's short, can you say that story, or is it either A,
Oh,
long or libelous?
okay, I'll tell you what we're
Wait,
doing.
I don't even know this guy is or what Prophet is. So
Yeah, no, I'll tell you what, Dave. Just while I'm talking,
yeah,
right? Just Google Rob Liefeld
Yeah, but
art.
you are talking, so
I
you
know,
could
I'm still
just tell
talking
him.
now.
no, but
No, but
if it's libelous, you can't.
I want a reaction. Just do like Rob Liefeld bad drawing or Rob Liefeld art or something like. Just while I'm talking, and then you'll see what I mean. Okay, and
Okay.
because I'd like your reaction, or even just do Rob Liefeld Prophet, and just see what comes out, Prophet art or something like that, and we'll have your reaction live on the podcast. But yeah, so it's going to be better. I'm sure it'll be an action-packed comic special edition. I'm sure there are going to be many different covers, maybe some shiny, maybe some by different artists. Some will probably be rarer than others, so worth a few more quid. Paul, you know how the comic market works. How many #1 front covers do you think we'll get for this?
Well, it's not going to be 30. I don't know. Special edition
I wouldn't even.
12.
I reckon I wouldn't be surprised if there was 30, because I reckon they'll really try and push the boat out on this, just to kind of, especially with the film coming out as well, because that's what the market's come to these days now, with variant covers and alternative covers and super covers and foil covers. But Prophet from memory wasn't a bad read all those years ago. Jake Gyllenhaal, I'd probably watch him in a film anyway if he was doing it.
It's a bit like when Premier League players have their last game, isn't it? And they get the stadium and they get all the profits.
Or they moved to China for their last year of playing.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens and develops on that. But 30 years is a good stretch for any franchise. So good luck to Rob Liefeld with it. Damien, how did you get on your little search?
Well, I googled Rob Liefeld feet on Google Images, and it's just come up with a load of comic book pictures. What am I supposed to be looking at? I mean, there is, to be fair, the first one that comes up is a large hairy foot, but
no, the whole thing for years has been that he can't actually draw feet. So if you do like a lot of his artwork, there's always like stuff in the way, or it's from the waist up, or
okay, so this is just some sort of chowder head in joke that.
Well, no, it's been a long criticism of the man, because like for someone who will often be viewed as like that he's a great artist, will suddenly people point out one day that he doesn't actually draw feet, and then someone realised for the last however many years he'd always managed to not do that. And there's a few Rob Liefeld's Captain America is an interesting one as well, where Captain America's chest is just sort of let's just say very, 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 very out of proportion, but apparently it looked cool, so Rob thought it was okay.
Fair enough. Good for him. He's still a better artist than I'll ever be, so good luck to him. And I hope he makes a profit. Ha!
Right, what have we got next?
Chris Pratt is to voice Garfield in the new animated movie.
Yep, Chris Pratt is going to voice the lasagna-loving, Monday-hating, comic strip feline Garfield in the new animated movie. Because Chris Pratt isn't in enough already. And I like Chris Pratt, but surely he's in everything being announced at the moment. Created by Jim Davis, Garfield first appeared in comics in 1978 with the lazy orange tabby cat often causing problems for John Arbuckle, his human owner, and the lovable household dog Odie. Garfield, which debuted in 41 newspapers, currently holds the record as the most widely syndicated comic strip in the world. Garfield previously appeared on the big screen in live action animated hybrid Garfield in 2004, and its sequel, 2006's Garfield: A Tale of Two Kitties. In these movies, both produced by 20th Century Fox, Bill Murray voiced the cat.
Yeah.
And also In the original Garfield cartoon series, he was voiced by Lorenzo Music. And in the real Ghostbusters cartoon, Lorenzo Music voiced Bill Murray's
Yeah.
character. So
They are
it's,
very similar.
it's a very, it's a weird
Yeah.
thing. So Lorenzo Music, another true hero of cult. Oh, that's
Yeah, I mean,
good.
he's been doing the old voiceovers for different cartoons for a fair few years now, hasn't he? So he's
But he
Yeah, on
he
the
just
press release
seems-
I got this from, there was a huge long list of
Very
voiceover credits. So I'm not going to put
Yeah.
them. I don't want to
No,
make
no,
you read
no,
all
no.
that nonsense.
But again, just like Lego, Onward, which I really like. He's coming up in Super Mario Brothers as well as Mario.
yeah, he
But
just
I'd
seems to be-
rather have him than James Corden doing the voiceover
Anything.
for animated films. So
That's true, but he's almost becoming Corden-like, and I like Chris Pratt, and I don't want him to be.
No,
Corden-like.
no.
Brett,
I'm not having that. I mean,
no.
no, just
Yeah,
no.
No, but you think about every third film that gets released, Chris Pratt's in it, in one way or another. It's like, have a rest, dude. Have a day off. I appreciate that.
He's an actor. He's enjoying it while he
Yeah.
can.
I
Exactly.
know. I can see his point. You know,
Whereas
he
Corden's
was
just a dickhead.
true.
So
Oh no, he was.
I
He
don't.
was. He was a good
don't
actor
think
once.
it's a fair
He was a good
statement to
actor
make.
once. He was a good
No,
actor
no,
once.
no actor, expects to have a career like the Tom Hanks or Clint Eastwood that goes on for decades and decades. He's just enjoying it. He's like a pro-American footballer. He's
No,
probably just assuming he's got
Yeah,
six
he's going to
seasons
go see
now
out
or
the
fine.
last of his career in China.
I see his point. He was in Parks and Recreation. He got a bit famous from that. Got offered a few movie roles. Got a personal trainer. Completely turned his life around. changed his whole look, and and now he's making money off that, and that's fair play to him. But just don't overexpose yourself, Chris Pratt, and I mean that in a movie sense. The other sense is bad as well. But don't make
Anyway,
us hate you.
that's Chris Pratt. What about actually Garfield? Do we feel there's a need for another Garfield movie?
I was thinking
they're going to make it. I think the issue.
Of course, yeah, they're not hanging on our every word.
But there's money in it, isn't there? The biggest thing for me is I grew up with the likes of Bill Murray and
Lorenzo Music.
So that's the voice of Garfield for me.
Yeah,
And I think the main bit though that gets missed on Garfield, the cartoon series kind of got it more spot on, but Garfield's the villain.
Yeah.
He's not inherently evil, don't get me wrong. He's not trying to kill everyone and take over the world. But Garfield's the bad guy. He bullies Odie.
He's
a
a
pain in
cat.
the ass for
in
John.
the strip, in the
He does
original
that, yeah.
cartoon strip, it's a reflection of the human condition, isn't it? So
Yeah, he's just like
it
the
was never aimed at kids.
lazy
per se.
bastard kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that
But
gets
again,
lost
he is a cat. And that's what they are. They're vicious,
in-
Vicious,
but
evil,
that-
lazy killing machines.
self-centered, killing machines.
I was just seeing if that was an acronym. I was trying to work it out.
I don't think it was.
Vicious
It'd be cool if
evil
it was.
network. Vicious evil network of moggies. But it's I think that's where it gets lost in the cartoons, because you end up with them sort of having to go out and like save
Do something and save the day. Yeah.
save the youth centre from being redeveloped or whatever. Like normal cheesy kind of American things where it'll probably be something to do with the environment this time or something like that. And it's just like that. He wouldn't give a shit. He's Garfield. He just wants some lasagna. He wants to stay in his bed and lay there.
Yeah.
But you can't do that for 2 hours, I suppose.
No.
Which is why the cartoon worked better. And they had Orson's Farm as well, if you remember that.
Vaguely.
That was like the sort of Jim Davis other sort of strip. So you had like your Garfield story. You'd go to Orson's Farm for a story there, and then you get another Garfield one. So, I mean, even Jim Davies, a lot of these strips were like three panels long, because he knew that was all you needed to tell the story.
Yeah.
And a 2-hour film, we shall see.
Not so much.
Yeah. Okay. So that is, unless there's been any late developing news as we're on the air, I believe that is everything we've got in the news desk.
That's the end of the news desk.
Drop zone.
Drop zone.
Okay, so now it's time for the drop zone, where we have a look at the trendiest of trailers that have dropped over the last week. So starting up with Ankle Biters.
Yeah, Dark Star Pictures will release Ankle Biters, a new horror comedy in the tradition of Mum and Dad and the Hunt, on demand and DVD on November the 16th, 2021. It is directed by Bennett de Brabadere and stars Xenon Forrest Lee, Marianne Fee Evans, Lily Gal Reid, Violet Reid, Rosalie Reid, and Dahlia Reid. And in the
Do
film,
you think they might be related?
I'm guessing they're the ankle biters. Otherwise, it's going to get confusing. So, Sean, a pro hockey enforcer, has fallen in love with Laura, a widowed mother of 4 young daughters. There you go. When Laura's children mistake an act of lovemaking as an attack, they plot to protect their mother at all costs, with horrific results. Let's take a look.
I think it looks all right.
Yeah.
I think I like the idea of it. I think that's really clever twist on it's actually turned out to be a sort of slasher horror film.
I
Yeah.
think it's clever how they did it, where they think he's beating up their mum.
Yeah.
What I liked as well, though, is that they did look genuinely frightening. They weren't just trying to make, like, we're going to have, like, the cute kid who might be a psycho. And, like, no, these kids are sort of messed up. They're getting the stuff ready. They're planning. They're putting the big nail pin in the apple. They're doing the, that was a bit brutal, I thought. And
Yeah, I really do like the look of that.
I'm well on board for that.
Did
And
you
did
guys
anyone
see
see
Mum
that?
and Dad?
No.
I don't think so.
The Cult Faction's favourite Nick Cage.
Oh, I do know the one you mean. I've seen
Hashtag
sort of
Cage
bits
Watch.
of it.
This actually looks like it has potential to be a lot better.
Did anyone spot the cameo of that geezer that used to be on Whose Lines It Anyway? I forgot his name.
Oh yeah, I know you mean. I can't remember his name.
It's really old. He probably
Yeah,
still
he's
is
aged a
on
bit,
Whose
isn't he?
Lines
Well,
Anyway.
I mean, to be fair, that was the 90s, so early 90s at that.
But the 90s to me are still like 10 years ago.
Afraid
I've
not.
not let go.
So,
But but Ankle Biters looks amazing. Go check it out. I think we have a sleeper hit on our hands here. I think it's going to be one of those films that in the old days you would have watched it, taped it, and then passed it on to someone else, and it would have been word of mouth. I don't know what the equivalent is anymore. I guess you'd download it and share it or whatever. I think it might be one of those ones that catches on that way. And you heard it here first, folks.
I think for the first time in a while, all 3 of us have got a thumbs up.
Yeah. All right, so next, let's see. Well, I'm not getting my hopes up for 3 thumbs up on this one, but we'll see. Next up on the drop zone is Hulk #1.
Yeah, the uncontrollable rage of the Hulk has reached an all-new level, and nobody, including the Avengers, is prepared to handle it. But is it really the Hulk that people should be afraid of, or is there something missing to this puzzle? Join the superstar creative team of Donny Cates and Ryan Otley as they look to the stars for the next era of Hulk. So we got a trailer for the new Hulk #1 comic book. Let's have a look. So that was Hulk #1. I feel a bit let down by that myself. I feel that they're just retreading ground that has been trod on a million times before. It just seems about every sort of 5 or 6 years, the Hulk ends up something that no one can handle, and they either send him to another planet or another dimension or something else. And then about a year later, they bring him back again. And it's almost like the keep Hulk interesting thing. I was also really annoyed at the Immortal No More part in the trailer, because the Immortal Hulk storyline was actually really, really good. And if no one's read it yet, the whole thing about it was basically Bruce Banner, like, the alter ego of the Hulk when he's not the Hulk. And his whole thing was that he was just basically fed up with living. And the whole point was that he couldn't die, because anytime he tried to kill himself or do anything, he would just turn into the Hulk.
Yeah.
And his whole thing was something like, look, I just can't die. And they'll be like, right, we need something to do that. And he would just like literally walk through the fire, pull the people out the building, and he's like, I'm not going to die because I'll just turn into the Hulk. And it was that whole kind of, like, what's the point of living? There's nothing's a challenge anymore. I'm not scared of anything, because whatever I do, or even if you thought he died, he'd wake up on the slab and he'd be like, oh, great, another day. that kind of, but it was written in a more sort of real way, almost like sort of diary writing. It was just his own, what's the point? And it was really well written and something like that hadn't been done before, but now it's right. Now Hulk's going to space by the looks of it. I don't know. What, anyone else?
I don't know. Well, first of all, as far as comic book trailers goes, I think fair play. I think they did a fairly good job.
I mean, it's exciting. Yeah, I'll give you that.
I think in a lot of ways for me, the Avengers kind of killed off the Hulk. In the fact that, well, Thanos kicked his butt, as did several of the others, and then there was the whole thing where he became. Well, Bruce basically became the Hulk. He was the intelligent Hulk.
Professor Hulk. Hulk. Yeah.
So I think for most of the people that have watched the Avengers, and that's their only, go-to of the Hulk or idea of who the Hulk is, I don't think they're going to get this, because this is, more of, as I say, harking back to the original Hulk. But yeah. I didn't mind it. As I said, I think I was just overly. I think I was impressed by what they've done with the trailer. I think they've marketed it really well, and maybe that's impairing my judgment.
No, that's not.
What do you think, Damien?
Artwork looked good.
Well done. You found a positive.
Yeah. So everything about it is good. It just doesn't float my boat.
Cool.
But what do we think about the fact as well that now we are getting the comic books marketed with trailers as almost as if, like the films, the TV shows, etc.
Well, for me, so I know exactly where you're going, and I think to some extent it almost waters down the mythos that surrounds comics, because back in the day, comics were literally the realm of the comic book store. The I can't do the voice, but the guy in The Simpsons that. I wish I could do the voice. I really do.
Worst episode ever.
Worst. Yeah, I'm not even going to try it. Yeah. And this is partly why I don't like all the Marvel stuff, the blockbuster films, because it's turned it into a machine, and which obviously is great for people that really, really love it, and it's great for people. I mean, I guess there must have been an upturn, a boom in the sales of comics. No, you're shaking your head.
No, there isn't. That's the problem.
Really. So the films, yeah, sorry, but the films and that have, made millions, and the merchandise has, but the actual comics, it's kind of remained steady. But they keep. Okay. So I'm wondering if this is this will get those younger people reading.
Well, but it's got to keep up with the times as well, hasn't it? And getting it out there to try and drive up some excitement about going back to comics. And maybe that's the good thing about this lull in the release of Avengers movies, is that for the kids that are interested in Marvel now, that may have missed out on comics before, if they get introduced to it, then maybe that will create an upsurge in comic revival almost.
Well, I mean, you've got the Marvel Unlimited thing now as well, which is like the Marvel Netflix of comic books, where you can just subscribe to that and just pretty much read anything. I think it's about 4 to 6 months behind the new releases, but nearly everything else is on there, so you can go back and just read all the classics.
Yeah, but I think my problem with that is that I liked having a comic.
So did I.
I don't really want to watch it on my iPad. I want to have a comic in front of me.
No, I agree, but I just think that's the way the as I say, the floppies are dying out, and it's just that kind of, more because more people now, as well as they've got older, and they might be in their 40s, they can't really have 80 boxes of comics in their house anymore because they haven't got room and and things like that. So, and also kids nowadays, it's all. It's all download, read it, and do it, isn't it? The disposableness of it all, rather than, most of my kids at school don't even, they're still, they can't believe I buy Blu-rays and things. They look at me like I'm some kind of creature from
we're the same though, Brett.
Yeah.
Digital copy all the way.
But it might get changed. Physical copy keeps the original story. Like the IT crowd now, that episode's lost. Different things, episodes have disappeared now. Star Wars has been changed so much.
This is true.
You know.
Anyway,
But it's interesting. It's a different debate. But that Marvel are now launching trailers to comic books again. It may raise awareness. It may increase. I'd like to see it grow just for the fact it gets kids reading or gets anyone reading. To be honest, I think that's a good thing. But okay, moving on to our next item in the drop zone, Mr. Hawkins.
Next up is the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, it's coming December the 29th. Mark it on your calendars. The Book of Boba Fett will be streaming exclusively on Disney Plus, and it is being described as, and I quote, a thrilling Star Wars adventure which finds legendary bounty hunter Boba Fett and mercenary Fennec Shand navigating the galaxy's underworld when they return to the sands of Tatooine to stake their claim on the territory once ruled by Jabba the Hutt and his crime syndicate.
Cool, let's give this a watch. So, the Book of Boba Fett. What did we think?
Go, Damien.
Oh, you're coming to me first. I'm beginning to get tempted to watch these. When I say these, I'm talking about the other Mandalorian thing. It's just called The Mandalorian, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one for two reasons. One, that actually did look quite good, and secondly, it's getting to the point where I am running out of things to watch. So, and there's two seasons of I was about to say DeLorean then of
Mandalorian.
Yeah. There's one season. So that's 3 seasons of something I can actually sit and watch. So it looks all right. That's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going any further than that.
That's fine. We'll take that.
I washed my hands of Star Wars back in 1998, and I haven't turned back.
Well, you have now.
Well, I haven't because I haven't actually watched it. So
yeah, the force is strong in you. Well, I'm on board. To be honest, I think it'd be quite good to see almost like the Star Wars equivalent of The Sopranos. Let's see a bit of the underworld. I mean, we've seen the Galactic Empire and all their stuff. We've seen the Rebels and all their stuff. Let's see a bit. We've seen a few of the other bits around in the cartoon series and the Clone Wars and all that. Let's see a bit of the criminal underworld. We got a little bit of that in the Solo movie, but
yeah, not much.
But not much, really. I mean, it's just around the edge. We skipped around the edges of it. Whereas this is like after Return of the Jedi, we're going to see what happened next. Maybe some criminal empires building out, a bit of the grit and glory.
Well, as long as they have a balance. I don't want this to be some, more saga about the workings of the underworld. I still want a fair bit of action.
Well, it looks like we're going to get action, but I think it is going to be more underworld based. I think you're going to have...
but that's fine as long as it's not like, as you say, just a crime series or something like that.
That'd be all right. What's wrong with that?
It's not what I want from Star Wars series. I want it to be
lasers.
Action. I do. I was a bit disappointed we didn't get the Rancor monster at the end, actually. But
it's dead.
Yeah, but or
could have had a baby or something.
They're equivalent, for them to get a new one.
Well, they might do. They're not going to give because they were stood on the trapdoor.
Yeah.
When they were sat in the chair, so you never know. There might be something else in there. Maybe like they drop through and there's a clown or something. Or something. No, but definitely on board for this. We'll be counting down. My only hope is that they just drop all of it at once because it's Christmas. I know it's going to be one a week, like they did with the Mandalorian.
Yeah, no, it will be. It will be.
So do I have to watch Mandalorian before I watch this?
No,
not really, but it would help.
Just get you in the vibe. For people wearing masks and stuff.
I think some of the characters that we've met along the way in The Mandalorian will be popping up in this, so you might need like little backstories and stuff. But I don't think it's gonna, you're not gonna be like totally confused if you don't know it.
No.
But I think that's what, thinking back to The Mandalorian now and some of the places he stopped along the way and some of the people he's met, I think they may cross over into this, obviously, because it's the same sort of timeline and same sort of thing.
And besides, Book of Boba Fett's not out until the 29th of December, so you need to kill some time. Yeah. Cool. So I think that's pretty much 3 thumbs ups.
Yeah. No.
Come on.
No,
you got to watch it. That's got to be a thumbs up.
It's like no, actually, I haven't committed to watching it. I think at the start of the conversation, it was I might start watching this.
I think your interest has peaked a bit more than that. Anyway, let's move on to Infinity and Beyond with the new Lightyear trailer.
Yeah, Disney and Pixar's Lightyear is an original feature film releasing on June the 17th, 2022. That sounds like it's years in the future, but it's not. The sci-fi action adventure presents the definitive origin story of Buzz Lightyear, the hero who inspired the toy, introducing the legendary Space Ranger who would win generations of fans. Chris Evans lends his voice to Buzz.
Chris Evans, not Chris Pratt this time.
Yeah, Chris Evans, Captain America this time, not Star-Lord.
All right, let's watch the trailer. So, that was Lightyear. Pratt, coming to you first. What do we think?
Looks amazing. Looks really good. Looks different. Do we need it?
Yeah, I'd say the same. It looks stunning, to be fair. But
so,
why?
Being the parent of 3 children, the youngest of which they've all watched, the Toy Story films over the years, but they've grown out of the Toy Story films. I think this one there will be one I'll be looking forward to watching with Connor, because he's at that age now where I think this is going to appeal to him a lot more, because he's a bit older now.
So is it to bridge that gap between Toy Story and Star Wars? So
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
The Disney feeder system.
Well, again, I got watching Transformers the other week, and now this is another one to look forward to, and it looks really good.
It looked like he landed on Dagobah at one point. I don't know. I was waiting for Yoda to pop up, but it's just like what? So in the last 30 years, everyone forgot to mention that the Buzz Lightyear toy was actually made after someone called Buzz Lightyear.
Well,
when the whole selling point.
It's obviously not, is it?
Yeah, but we know that, but I mean, in continuity, it's like this is the guy the figure was based on that no one ever mentioned. Although I bet now, because you don't have physical copies of those films, when you go back, there'll be some reference put in. Like the real astronaut. It's like no one said that before. Yeah, I swear they didn't.
But the whole Toy Story was set in the 90s and early 2000s or whatever it was, when there wasn't a Buzz Lightyear.
Exactly. How did they inspire the toy?
Yeah, but maybe
it's a given. I don't get what you. I don't understand what you're saying, Brett. So pretty much all action figures that kids have are either based on a cartoon or a movie. So it doesn't need to be mentioned in the Toy Story film.
And this could be the cartoon, not a real person.
Well, no, they see the cartoon because they brought the cartoon out. That was their first cash-in. There was a Buzz Lightyear Star Command cartoon that came out that was supposed to be them what the toy in the film was based on. They've done all that already. That was a whole series. So now we've got the movie of the character that inspired the original Buzz Lightyear to begin with.
Well, maybe this is set in a different universe.
Doesn't have to be. But don't start doing all this Flash universe nonsense shite.
The hero who inspired the toy. That's the tagline to the movie.
Okay.
But then they had the film, they brought out the toys, then they decided to make a cartoon. Just so happens we've already seen the cartoon piece in the Toy Story universe. Now we're just seeing the film that it was originally based on. There you go.
I'm looking forward to this. Wrong, but you're not allowed to now. You're banned.
But it doesn't.
No, it just sounds like you've gone all chowderhead on it. It was never mentioned.
It wasn't.
What do you mean it's based on a real person? They didn't have spaceships like that in the 90s and 2000s. Yeah, of course. But they might have had a cartoon bah humbug, Brett. Bah humbug. Well, it's a thumbs up from me.
It's a thumbs up from me too.
I'll watch it. Don't get it wrong, but it's doesn't fit.
I don't get your argument. I really don't.
I get the argument. I just don't know why it's such a big deal. When most of the stuff you read,
I don't accept it as a valid argument. Just because it's not mentioned in the Toy Story films, like I said, it's a given that the characters are based on either cartoons or movies.
Yeah, but
it all started with things like
what Brett's
Star Wars, He-Man, etc.
I think what Brett's saying is it's based on a real person in their universe, and it obviously can't be because they hadn't gone out into space in that way in the 90s and 2000s or even today. So it's not obviously based on a real person. But I can't believe we're having a big conversation about this. Brett, just let it go. Just open your mind.
I can't. They've thrown the universe now. They've fallen by their own rules. They failed their own universe and rules that they set up.
It's about
Well-
toys that come to life.
Maybe Andy ran really, 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 really fast.
I see
And
where you're going.
It's caused the flashpoint, and
Buzz Lightyear killed his mum.
Buzz Lightyear killed his mum.
I would have been if it was like
Seriously, you're still
Dave.
going.
Dave.
Look,
Yeah, let's move on.
we're moving on. So last up on the drop
Am I
zone
right?
list-
Email in, people.
No, you're not. Last up on the drop zone, unless anyone has anything else that last minute,
but-
is Masters of the Universe Revelations Part 2.
From executive producer Kevin Smith comes an epic story that picks up where the 80s series left off and brings the power of Grayskull back to the world. Reclaim the power, fight for the universe. The epic conclusion to Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2 premieres on November the 23rd, 2021, only on Netflix.
Oh, cool. Not long to wait. Right, let's give this a watch. So, Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2. Damien, coming to you. I know you haven't seen Part 1, but let's talk about what you thought of the trailer.
Okay. Well, it hasn't dampened my enthusiasm to watch it. I've been waiting for this to come out before I start watching the first part because I didn't want to get to midway through, stop, and then trying to remember everything that happened in the first part. So, looks perfect. I think I've probably said it before. The color tone looks great. The animation looks awesome. It doesn't. I know I saw some stuff about people. It doesn't look the same as the original cartoon.
Yeah, it's not
Well, there's a
supposed to.
reason for that. It's what year are we in? 2020.
1.
2021.
Exactly. So there's a reason the animation doesn't look the same. So happy days. I'm glad it's coming out this side of Christmas.
Brady boy?
I have nothing more to say.
Okay, well, I loved part 1, and I couldn't work out what all the people were moaning about. It was like, this is like a 10-part story. They were like, oh, but He-Man's not in it much, and whatever. Yeah, there's a reason. They had to take him out to develop everyone else, and obviously, look at the trailer now. He's coming back. Just trust in the whole story. You watch the part of it. To be fair, everything I said that was going to happen has happened. All my predictions appear to be coming true, but that means they did it right.
Yep.
In my opinion, they followed the folklore, they followed the character trajectories. Kevin Smith has gone over that original cartoon and dug deep into the folklore of it and got maybe people on board that really know the ins and outs of He-Man. I mean, there were some interesting characters popping up there in the battle scenes. Some of them we haven't seen for probably 30, 40 years. I don't even want to know how long ago it was now. But
Well, I
in the
think it
original
debuted in
series,
81. So.
oh God, what was I? I was not one even born then. Go away. But yeah, it looks amazing. It's going to be good, and it's just what I thought. I just wish people had given it patience to watch both halves before running around and screaming and crying that it's all about Teela and He-Man's not in it. We always knew Teela would be the sorceress. She's the sorceress's daughter. That was in the original series. Go back and watch. And it looks like she's about to take over now. You see Man at Arms say to her, like, you've always been my daughter. Now you must be a bit more powerful or whatever. So she's going to kick ass. Everyone was moaning that she was going to end up as He-Man and it was a feminism thing and they've stolen He-Man from us and all that. It never was going to happen.
That's like to do like a She-Hulk or something.
Yeah. But she was around for years as well.
Jokey.
But I know. But yeah, but it was something that, people moaned about and they should just shut up, really.
Hell yeah.
What did you think, Paul?
So I like the fact they improved the soundtrack to this trailer for part 2 as opposed to an 80s soundtrack, which was Bonnie Tyler for the trailer for part 1. So they obviously listened to the podcast and took my advice on. I think you're right. I think they'd have been spared a lot of backlash if it was released in one go, because then you'd have had the character development and then it will come to the conclusion, and we see Teela developing in one go, and people would get the fix of He-Man that they potentially didn't get from part 1. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good combination of what Kevin Smith's vision for it was. I also like the fact there's a big battle So just like I complained with season 2, it's not really a big old action film or series unless there's a big bat one. This looks like there's going to be one. It also had some of that cheesy comedy as well in it, which again is a nice throwback to the original series. So they haven't really lost anything from that original feeling either. So yeah, looking forward to this one.
And dare I say it, was that Orko we had right at the end?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So that's interesting, and how that will develop. If you've seen part 1, you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't want to ruin it for Damien, but
Please don't.
yeah, I'm well on board with that, and counting down the days to
Not long to go.
November the 23rd.
That's right.
And
Cool.
do we again? Are they going to drop it all at once? They did the first time, didn't they? Because I think I watched all of them back to back and done reviews as we were going. So yeah, that'll be a busy weekend for me. Right.
Oh, hold on! I just realised that we do have one more trailer in the drop zone,
Hot off the
do.
press.
and this is it absolutely is because it was only released today, and this is the new Morbius trailer.
Ah, yes, Morbius from Sony Pictures, where the line between hero and villain will be broken. Watch the new trailer for Morbius, starring Jared Leto as the enigmatic Marvel legend, and then watch it exclusively in movie theaters this January.
Okay,
Morbius.
well, let's give this a watch.
Wow.
Mr. Hicks, coming to you first.
Oh,
What
you're
do
coming
we
to me
think?
first again?
I thought I went to Brett
That
first
just
time.
because it's Marvel.
Okay,
Not
well,
Sony Marvel.
Still Marvel. It said in big letters, Marvel.
Yeah, but it's Sony Marvel. Sony, because
I know they've got a catalogue that they still have the rights to,
Yeah.
but at some point they're going to lose all that and it will go over to Disney,
Marvel,
whatever
yeah.
it is, and then Marvel Studios and blah 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 blah. I know all that, but as far as I'm concerned, it's still Marvel.
Okay, what do you
Put
think? then?
Sony at the start of that, or you can put Disney before it. Doesn't matter. It's still Marvel. It looks alright, but I'm sick of vampires. So, and you can also tell me, technically, it's not a vampire because he got himself in his pickle, but it's still a bloody vampire, isn't it?
It is really, but it was the good way around the comics code many years ago when you weren't allowed to have vampires.
so I think Jared Leto is a bit like Marmite for a lot of people. You either love him or hate him as well. I've always
See, I don't
really
get that.
liked
I've got
him.
I'm pretty indifferent to
No,
Marmite.
I'm not saying you. Oh, okay, but he gets slated for a number of his roles because he's compared to the likes of Heath Ledger when he was the Joker and so on. But when you look back at his history, the guy is so chameleon-like when he for the amount of different roles he's done, and also the music
all
he
those
does
teeth.
as well. And I think this is a perfect role for him as well. And to be honest with you, I also love that they had People as Strange for the soundtrack for the trailer, which I thought was a nice little touch as well.
It's nice fact they could afford the proper version as well.
Not Echo and the Bunnymen.
No Echo in the Bunnyman in this one.
Yeah. No, but I think it's an interesting one, and with Venom 2 coming out as well, I think this it follows on nicely from the Sony Marvel offering.
But is there the chance that this is going to be a
Yes.
good film, and then when whatever is supposed to happen happens, and they lose the rights to this, it goes across back to the nice, flowery, wonderful, happy world of Disney Marvel, and it becomes shit?
Well, no, because they're all. I don't want to do any spoilers. Let's just say, I'll go through my bit that I was thinking of first, and then I'll tackle that one for you. As a film, I think it looks really good. They took a third string Marvel character that was basically invented as a way to do vampire comics because they weren't allowed to do vampires in those days, whenever it came out, and due to the comics code, and it looks like a really good film. It looks interesting. It looks dark when it needs to be. This could be the first Sony comic book movie that they've got spot on. I will say that now. I will then watch it and be, and I include all the other Spider-Man films in that as well, and the Venom films. But I think Sony might have actually got this one right. And if you look in the through the trailer, there was an Oscorp building in the skyline hinting at Spider-Man. You also had the poster of Spider-Man on the wall with murderer written on it, which hints at what happened after Far From Home.
And Michael
you
Keaton was in it as well.
He had Michael Keaton, and I'm guessing he was the Vulture because he said, "Hey, we should have a chat."
Yeah.
When he was the villain in the Spider-Man films, the new Spider-Man films. So it looks like it may be in that world that already exists of the MCU.
Well, and the
also,
fact that he says, "I'm Venom." Oh no, I'm joking. I'm Morbius.
Yeah,
Dr.
yeah. So we know that it is linked, and also with the end of there's something that happens apparently at the end credit scene of the new Venom film, which hints at a connection to the MCU as well. So it does look like they are all in that world at the moment. So as long as Sony and Marvel can keep that agreement up, we might get that sort of best of both worlds, which you were saying, Damien, where Sony might make the darker, creepier films, and Disney and Marvel can keep the shiny, happy people superheroes.
Okay, fair enough.
That might be their way around it, because like we were saying, like, will Disney ever go that dark or whatever? That might be their way around again. Well, it wasn't us, that was Sony, but it is kind of with our films too.
Well, and as we've mentioned before, Disney are trying to take over everything. So if there's a market for this, and if they can take it over, then I'm sure they will. And keep it.
But there's a line they won't go beyond.
Well, I'll just quote something else, wouldn't they? I mean, they've got their stars or whatever it's called now, where they can put like scary programs on where people get shot and stuff.
True.
So you never know. But no, I'm for this. I put this up there with Guardians of the Galaxy. That when it was announced and when I first sort of saw it, I was like, third string comic. Didn't really care about it that much. Characters were a bit meh. And then the trailers came out and it was like, whoa, okay, these might be good. And Guardians went on to actually be one of the better movies out of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Morpheus has got interest. But I mean, obviously, a Claire Danes cameo would make it for me, just to push it over the top. We could have that My So-Called Life reunion. But we can only live in hope. Maybe that's the after credits bit. Don't I know you? Dun, dun, dun. No, it won't be the EastEnders thing, but
no, it wouldn't be.
Yeah,
no.
but no, I'm very positive on this. I think I was expecting it to be so awful that when it was quite good, and then Jim Morrison singing over the top was a bonus, and I think it's kind of it's dazzled me with its greatness, because I just think I was expecting a big steaming turd.
Cool. Well, that is it for the drop zone.
Okay, then. So that just about wraps us up for this week. This was the Cult Faction podcast, episode 33, to Tatooine and beyond. Please give us a rating, give us reviews. It all does help. If you've got any questions, any queries, anything at all that you'd like to discuss with us, you can drop us a line at the cultfactionpodcast@mail.com. You can check us out on cultfaction.com and across all the various social medias, from Facebook to Twitter to TikTok to Instagram and to whatever else may come up by the time this has been released. We're on them all. And Twitch. So I will just say then, it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Superman.
Shut the fuck up, man.
Rock and roll. Fuck off, cunt.
The gremlins are real.
Come on, you can do this.
Errol, run VT.
It's because you're unprofessional. For fuck's sake, Hanukkah.
Boom.
It's definitely you. I can see you in the picture. I thought I still had time.
Bunch of assholes.
Right, kids, write that down.
That sounds like I'm being a twat. Oh, I can't press a button. Oh, that makes me feel dizzy. That was almost perfect, Paul.
Thanks, Damien.